everybody? Welcome back to another episode of After Ahsoka, episode 2, but we're going to be talking about episode 3 of the show. Just want to remind everybody before we get into it and before I introduce the guests, well, I guess guests, but you guys are on for the second time. Full spoilers, so we're going to be talking about everything. Graham from the Jedi Knights Watch and Mike, Pause, Literis are both in the house with me tonight. Welcome in, you guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome. Doing awesome. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, man.
Good to be chatting with you fellas again.
Yes.
It'll be fun.
Yes. Happy to have both of you guys on again tonight. Had a lot of fun last week. I'm looking forward to talking about this episode. Won't be as crazy because we just got the one episode, but I kind of like that because then I feel like we can break stuff down a little bit more. I feel like,
not as overwhelming.
Yeah, not as overwhelming. I feel like looking back on it, talking about the last 2 episodes, there was a lot to break down there. But also, Mike, I like the hat, dude. The hat that I think you wanted to wear last time. Order 66.
Yeah, it came the day after our last show. It's a Star Wars Theory Order 66 Ahsoka.
Yeah, that was the shirt that I think it was when I was on Wolfpack. I wore this it's like Route 66 and it has crossed off, says Order on it. Love it.
Yeah, it's
Love
cool.
it, man.
It's cool.
Before I address the chat here, I know we were talking a little bit backstage about kind of recent pickups here. Graham, you want to start because you got got so much stuff, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I saw your stuff in person, and I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I think when you see something in person, you really get the fever.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
So
100%.
I think in August I picked up 9 figures. Now I sold a couple and I traded a couple, but 9 figures in. A lot of it, I think all of it was Star Wars. Couple from Rogue One, couple from Phantom Menace, couple from the OT. It doesn't also help that my local comic book store got 75 Hot Toys of Star Wars in for trade. So now it's and I work in that city, so I'll just swing over there and see what they got, and one thing leads to another. But no, I'm dude, K2SO, I think is probably one of my favorites.
Dude, he's
that I
so
picked
good,
up.
man.
He is just so awesome in person. And then obviously Princess Leia from A New Hope, Sand Trooper. Just did a review on that one. But I'm having Maul. This is my second go around with Maul. Don't think I'll let him go this time.
Good choice.
So, yeah.
You got a lot of good figures.
Got Mando Luke for really cheap. Deluxe for not even half of what it's going for. So no, maybe it is half. It was about half.
What do you think of did Mando Luke surprise you? From what you've seen about the figure, was it about what you expected?
It's about what I expected. I think he looks good. I just got him out right before the show, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to really absorb, all the greatness that is him. I really just threw him into a pose and put him up right here.
See him right through the glass. Nice.
The head sculpt is good because I'm so used to having Luke's that the head sculpt just really annoyed me. I had Return of the Jedi, the deluxe, and I just could not stand the head sculpt. You had the eyes to the one way. You had the grimacing mouth, which I can't stand. Plus, the likeness to Mark Hamill's just always been tough for Hot Toys to grasp. But I think starting with Snowspeeder Luke, they started to get it. I still think Bespin's better. And then obviously there's the same head sculpt with a different hair. So I think they look really good. And I'm just really excited to expand on the Star Wars.
Yeah. Mando Luke is it surprised me when I got it in hand. Once I got it posed, mine's way back here. I was talking to it's that shadow right back here in the middle right there. It's just all cloaked out, but with the with the robe and the hood up. But he surprised me. It's funny you mentioned all the different Lukes. My wife was down here today looking at stuff, and she's like, "Does that Bespin?" She didn't say Bespin Luke because she doesn't say that. That's me talking, but she's like, "Does that Luke have real hair?" And I was like, "No," but it looks nice. Really good. The Bespin Luke, the hair that it comes with, I think looks really good. But yeah.
Well, and I'm excited. So I told you guys backstage, trying to do some homework, and I'm watching Rebels. I'm only on episode 7 of season 1, but so far it's pretty good. But I've dabbled in it before. I've seen some other episodes. I've seen some of the Clone Wars, but now having Phantom Menace Maul with the Mando, Ahsoka, and then kind of mix matching, Bo-Katan, Cad Bane in there, kind of brings a whole new meaning to it too, now that you have even more familiarity with these characters. So I'm looking forward to getting to know these characters from Ahsoka even more. And then when and if these figures come out, I think it'll mean that much more too when they drop, and then adding them all together. They have double meaning. They come from live action, but then they also come from the animated. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That's what's really nice about the animated stuff. like once they start making live action, is then you get like it crosses both mediums, right? I really like that. But yeah,
I really like that too.
yeah,
That was one of the things that confused me because you and I, Stephen, we started around the same time.
yep,
I was trying to wrap my head around the whole Hot Toys thing because I'm like, okay, so you have Clone Wars Anakin, but then you have like Cad Bane that's from the show, from Boba, but he comes with a Clone Wars accessory. So are we not going to get like Clone Wars versions of everything?
yeah,
Because like Hot Toys is so weird
yeah,
like that, right? And so it's like you get the Mace Windu from Episode 2, but he also comes with the gauntlets from Clone Wars.
yeah. They're giving you options of like how, and like I really like the Clone Wars
Which I
Anakin.
like.
Do you have Clone Wars Anakin? The figure,
yeah.
That
on
one's
the
so
snap.
that one's so
Mhm.
cool because it gives you the option of doing like the top armor piece and the side like arm pauldron. You can do it different, like depending on how you want it to look.
Yeah. And what I love about that piece is it's the same design as Vader's chest piece.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just, if you're going to do that evolution of Anakin, it's just really cool to have.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Mike, do you have any pickups you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got
Recently?
some great stuff this month. Like I got Dooku, Dark Side Anakin, Cad Bane, and a bunch of stuff on order.
Yeah,
that
dude.
I added to my pre-orders.
Yeah, nice.
And I ordered a bunch of because when we saw that dewback, I was one of the people that was like convinced it was coming. I know some people doubted it. So when Sideshow had a deal a few weeks back on Troopers, like I loaded up on some of those just so I can kind of create a scene. But again, speaking of the cool thing about Hot Toys is that Kenobi from the show, because I don't have any OT figures besides Luke right now. So like that
Dang.
dewback is gonna pop. Yeah,
That's
I
crazy.
made this, and I
Yeah.
have like 50 Star Wars figures.
Yeah.
So, but that dewback is gonna be part of the scene with Kenobi. So like the great thing about Disney, like being obsessed with Tatooine, is like you can really do a lot on Tatooine from
No doubt.
every like iteration of Star Wars with these
Yeah.
figures.
Dang,
So,
you have like that's the only OT you have is Luke.
yes,
Dang.
yes.
Once you
And
once
I
you
kept-
I was gonna say
So,
once
like,
you get on that original trilogy rabbit hole, that's gonna be
Oh, it's
scary, man. Ooh.
and I did it on
Man.
purpose because I'm like, hold on a second, like let me not backtrack and go backwards too much because I knew we had 40th Jedi coming up, and I said like I can start there. So you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
like, and then
Well,
we're
they're
gonna
gonna be
have a
dropping
50th anniversary and
They're gonna
Yeah.
drop a Luke because I just got Mando Luke, so that's coming.
Yeah, they'll drop
That's
a Luke
coming.
now that Graham just bought.
Thank
one.
you.
I wouldn't be.
appreciate
I would
doing that for us,
honestly
Graham.
like. I think Mando Luke's so good. I wouldn't be mad about getting an actual like Return of the Jedi, a good one. You know, like they have the Endor one that sits in like or stands in as that, but like,
Dude,
and
if
I
they could
like
do
how that
another
looks.
deluxe.
I want to have an end. I want to use my Endor one that I want instead of using it as a Jedi Luke. I want him as an Endor Luke. So I would like welcome another one because I know I forget what the number of the figure is, but I know like people think the fat suit's too puffy on the original one. I never picked up the
Little bit.
original Return of the Jedi Luke. I'm kind of waiting to see.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Did you guys see that Sideshow has got a 25% off on most of their Hot Toys right now?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Big
Yeah,
Labor Day
I-
weekend sale.
I picked up a damaged Mark 85 today because it was cool. Like it's not damaged, but it's Sideshow seconds, and then
Dented
it's
box or
stacked
whatever.
with the Labor Day deal. So it was 15% off, then 25% off that. So I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Have you
I
bought?
needed
From,
it to go with my gauntlet.
have you gotten seconds before? Like,
yeah,
have you bought anything on seconds? Like,
Yep.
how bad is the box when you
Tumblr.
get it?
dude. I have, I think, 6 things from Sideshow Seconds. Only one of them had noticeable box damage.
Really?
Only one.
Because I wonder if it's like totally smashed or just a corner or.
I wonder if sometimes it's stuff that people does it look like it's been unopened, or does it look like in any way that it may have been a return that somebody just said like there's nothing wrong with the figure, I just don't want it.
If I got a whiff of that, I would have sent it back
Gotcha.
because I
So they,
specifically called. I called them to ask them about that when I first bought my first Seconds, and they said absolutely not. These are not
Not used.
returns. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
no,
nice.
they've been great. Like I got the tumbler. I got that Ahsoka statue I showed you. Ton because you can stack it with your ID me discount.
Yeah, it's big,
So
man.
it's 15, then
That's
15
a-
again.
That's a lot.
So
off.
it's like I check Seconds every day.
Yeah,
you know?
that's why I've been keeping an eye on it too. It's got to be real good.
The only one that came damaged was the iconic Patrick Bateman, which sucks because that's the only box that has any value because it's an art box on the inside for display. And I was like, oh, the one that's damaged is that one, but it was all right.
Yeah. Well, cool guys. Very cool. I got my bark speeders in. They're huge. I gotta do some rearranging. I gotta do some rearranging of the collection. I was telling you guys, this shelf's gonna come out. I'm pretty sure this shelf's gonna come out because I got my prequel figures over here. So this one's gonna come out, and then I'm gonna put them in there. Move that shelf over to one of these back ones here. But they are very cool. They are like, yeah. I'm excited to, do an upcoming, future collection tour. I don't know when, but to showcase kind of all the way I got everything laid out. It's coming together nicely. I'm still not done though. It's taking a while.
I'm excited to hear those are good. I have both.
They're
of my
really cool, man.
Coming from
so
cool. Wonderland, and I got the shipping notification.
No judgment.
I got the shipping notification. I know that doesn't mean anything, but it's progress.
It's
progress.
Awesome.
Do you guys know how wide or deep, I guess, the dewback is?
I think it's
like if you put,
I think
like
it's
if you put it into
I think it's 13 inches width.
So if you put it into a DF, you could probably still put a row of figures in front of it. So it wouldn't take up like.
It would just take up 31 and a half of the 48
lengthwise. That you can fit in. That's a lot of real estate, but
there will only be maybe this much room left, in front of it. It's gonna take up almost like a whole. And by the time you get it displayed the way you want it in a figure next to it, you're probably gonna take up a whole entire back part of it.
Is it iconic enough that you really want it, or is it because we just haven't gotten anything like that from Star Wars?
Oh no, it's iconic enough.
It is.
I think
there are certain pieces
like
I want to have a big basement, and I want to put things on tables if I can, because maybe you can't display them as you want to in a detail.
I don't even know if I'm going to put that in a case.
I meant to say, you know what I mean?
Outside of a case.
Yeah, certain pieces would.
Yeah.
Make a coffee table around something it's all glass, and you have it sitting in the coffee table.
Seen some great Millennium Falcons like that, Lego, and
it would be really cool to do that with a Hot Toys display like that. Get something, that's just tall enough to fit them in there, but you have an acrylic top or something, and make it like a acrylic top panel. I think that'd be very cool. But yeah. All right, let's address the chat here because we got a few folks in here. Good old Spotchka's in the house. Perhaps it's time to begin again. Yes, welcome in, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. He just put up a video of his top 10 figures in his collection. You should go check that out. He's got some bangers in there for sure. Boba Fettuccini's in the house. Hey, what is up, bro? Thank you for tuning in. Graham himself, hello, fellow friends of the galaxy. Reese is in here. What's up, nerds? What is up, Reese? Always happy to have you in. The Maul Fiend himself. He probably just wants Maul to appear in Ahsoka anyways. He's probably hoping he just sees Maul when whatever Star Wars property that he sees. Hello, says Brick. What is up, Brick? Thank you for tuning in, bro. Reverse Zio was in the house ready. Yeah, appreciate you being here, bro. Appreciate the support from you as well. Really cool dude. I did a collector tour interview with him. It was a really good episode. Go check that out. Yes, like what Graham said, Sideshow's having a big 25% off sale right now. Go check that out. They're doing this Labor Day weekend sale. Good old Spotches. I'm pretty sure he's talking about, the 75. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you said, the guy's girlfriend is moving in. They didn't know about the collection.
Yeah, I asked him, and I'm like, so did he tell you why? And they said, well, the rumor is that his girlfriend was moving in with him. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they said, and I think she had no idea he had a collection. I'm thinking, she's moving in, so it must be serious. And she had no idea he had 75 Star Wars Hot Toys.
He's like, I got to get this out of here.
Damn.
Locked door in the house, maybe. I don't know. Rick says, Sneaker keeps killing it. I'm trying, bro. Trying. Grails, too. Nick is in the house. What is up, bro? Get my boy Chop in the mix. Yes, please. Yes, please. We need a Chopper. Oh, yeah, Chopper. Is that the one from Galaxy's Edge? Nice. Droid Depot one? Yeah, nice.
It's really good, actually.
Yeah, I built a... here, hold on. Let me grab it real quick. Give me one sec. Before I break something. This is what I built at the Droid at Galaxy's Edge. I built this custom C-Series.
That's cool.
Yeah, my little chopper type droid that I built. I don't have a name for
it. I love
yet.
that.
So if you guys think of a name for him, let me know.
You need a good name for him.
Yeah, I'm guessing they have pretty limited options for this one. But I'm guessing the one that you got, Mike, too, is a remote control, right?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
cool. It's
And,
like it's pretty cool. I was surprised at like what you're actually able to do with them.
yeah, me
Pretty
too.
cool.
And quick note on Chopper. I love how they came up with his name. Graham, do you know what his
I
the
don't.
letters are? So it's C1-1OP. So the dash between the ones makes an H. So it's CHOP, chop. So I just thought that was
It
a
is
little
cool.
clever thing on
Yep.
Filoni's part there.
Yep. Yeah, it is very cool. David's in the house. Fire. Let's go. David, welcome in.
Mr. Quarter Scale himself.
Mr. Quarter Scale. Mr. Quarter Scale himself. Quarter scales. They're enticing. I may want to pick one up at some point. We shall see. I see Cage in here. I don't know if you said what's up or not. I see him in here.
He's lurking.
He's saying hi to everybody else. Saying hi to Nick. He's saying hi to Danny. He's saying hi to you, Graham.
So,
What's up, Cage? Welcome in, bro. Miami's Nemesis is in the house. Chris, what is up, dude? Appreciate you being here. D-Lo is in the house. What's up, dude? SmackDown wrapped up. Did I miss Hera? You haven't missed anything yet, dude, except talking about Graham picking up a bunch of figures. And Mike too. Mike, you got a bunch of stuff too. I'm trying to slow it down right now. I didn't get a lot of stuff, but what I got.
I'm not buying any more figures the rest of the year.
What I got.
Oh, I should get this.
What I got was stop.
I'll say that in December.
Look,
I'll say
something
that.
can be tempting. That doesn't mean I'm automatically just gonna buy it. Okay.
Spotchka asked if I like Huey Lewis in the News, and I just want to say that their early work was a little too new wave for me. But when sports came out in '83, I feel like they really came into their own commercially and artistically.
Oh yes.
So I just I had to get that out. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just looking for some other material. I think. Oh, there's Cage. Sup, Jabroni. Oh my goodness. I'm ready to talk about this episode. All right, let's get into it here. I'm going to transition this over here. This should work. I got, we should be able to see here. Let me make sure it works okay. Can you guys see the picture of the episode here? You should be able to see it.
Yep.
Okay, sweet. So what I did is I just pulled up Disney Plus here so we can run through the episode. Before we get into the episode, I just want to talk about kind of like we did last time as far as, maybe what you guys what you guys liked about the episode, what you didn't like. So Graham, you want to go first? Maybe just give your kind of general thoughts about the episode before we dive in here.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was my favorite so far. I enjoyed it a lot. And
Nice.
Things started to kind of finally unfold a little bit. At least it felt for me. Like the first two episodes seemed like set up, and now still a little bit more set up here, but it felt like things at least started to kind of happen a little bit. And I got some, A New Hope callbacks, some Easter eggs, that happened in the episode. But you can really just, even from this picture here, you really feel the samurai, feel that they're going for with this. Mandalorian's almost like a Western. This feels very samurai-esque. And it was really cool seeing Ahsoka, on the battleship, kind of doing her thing. And
You like that one? Like you like that scene with her like outside on like. On
yeah, I thought
top
it was
of
pretty
the-
cool.
Yeah.
It was different. So I know some people that I've talked to, I didn't really get details from them, but they weren't really a big fan of the episode so far. But I'm trying to I don't want to say I'm trying to have low expectations, because that's not the case, but I'm trying to be realistic with what's going to be given to us and just kind of try to enjoy it for what it is. And I think so far I've been able to do that.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm looking
think
forward
we're
to getting more figures too.
Yeah, I think we're early on too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's still episode 3 was a good setup for what's to come, and like we're getting to some of the stuff we kind of saw in the trailer where we know like this lightsaber battle is coming up that's like taking place in that little forest area. And there was some good, like, even though there wasn't like, this seemed like more of like a transitional episode, it definitely, like, I wouldn't call it just like a filler episode. I thought there were like some deep things in this episode that we can definitely talk about that I think are really like enticing and important. Was there anything that you didn't like, Graham, about this one?
Nothing that stands out
Yeah.
at the moment. Again, I gotta try. I was focusing on Rebels and trying to catch up with that a little bit, but I probably should have watched it for a second time, the episode, but I kind of went to Rebels instead. So, but nothing that pops out like, oh man, I didn't like that, or
Yeah.
giving me a bad feeling about it. Nope.
Nice.
Enjoying
Mike?
it.
Yeah, very good, man. Mike, what about you, dude?
Yeah, I'm happy to say I pretty much agree with everything you guys are saying. I really like the episode, and I think Graham's kind of alluding to this. I have not lowered my expectations, but I've decided that I'm going to let the show do its thing. I'm going to analyze each episode, of course, but I'm not going to say like, oh, that doesn't feel right, or this is, I want to let it play out a little bit more with an open mind than maybe the first episode hit me, right? Because I'm looking at characterization and I'm going, does that feel like Ahsoka from the animation? Then I realize that's kind of not really fair. So you watch Clone Wars, and then you watch Episode 3. It doesn't really feel like the same Anakin. I think most of us can admit, he's played very differently in Clone Wars than he is in live action in Episode 3.
For sure.
Right. So when you have these, I'll get into my dislikes maybe later.
Yeah, sure.
Or
You
I'll
can
just
save
say
them.
my-
It doesn't
I don't
matter.
know.
You can save them if you want to go once we get to those points in the episode. You can definitely bring them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. So, but just overall, I really liked it. Like you said, I think Filoni does this so well, and he's doing it in the show. He's expanding the lore, and he's taking these like little nuggets that might have been just private conversations between him and George, and he's introducing them to Star Wars in the larger sense.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
I like the show a lot, and it left me wanting Episode 4, which is like what a show's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
See what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This show has done a good job of that. I know we're only we saw the first 2 episodes as one kind of night, one sitting, and then you got this episode. But yeah, I agree. Like this show is definitely, I'm like, I can't wait to see what comes next for sure.
Mhm.
Cage
Well,
says,
like,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just going to say, like Mike said too, kind of going back to just trying to let it come to you, the show come to you, instead of like, I think
Yeah.
lately with Star Wars, and I know I'm not the only one, but I feel like we get so overhyped and we're expecting something that can't be delivered. Like we're just expecting too much. We want everything to be perfect, and and I'm guilty of it too. So, but we get mad at like an episode that's filler or maybe not as good, or the direction. And like I think Mando started so good that season 3 everybody just tore it apart, and maybe with good reason, but like I think we were also just very particular about it, and it was a lot easier to just be angry and upset at it, and then we didn't really enjoy the season. So I think in Book of Boba Fett too, like there's a lot of it I enjoyed, but at the same time, like when they make him feel like a boob, it really irritates me. But like I'm trying to just have an open mind, let it come to me, and not get too like worked up if there is something that doesn't make sense or whatnot. So kind of like we're kind of reiterating here, but yeah, just kind of letting it be organic if I like it or not, and not having
and
such high expectations.
Yeah, Cage brought up this comment. I wish the larger Star Wars community took that same approach. I feel like it's interesting you guys bring up this point, because I wonder how many people feel this way with this show. It seems like, I don't want to say, I hope like more people are taking that approach of like just waiting to see what it shows and having a little bit more patience. Because I feel like from these other shows in the past, especially because I know like some people don't love the stuff that's, putting it nicely, they don't love the stuff that has been coming out for some of these shows. So every episode I feel like people are just getting frustrated. Like there's something, and that's always going to happen with every show. I'm sure this show included. A lot of people are saying, maybe not a lot, I'm not really sure, I haven't really read too much. I'm sure if you go on Reddit and look at some of the posts, people probably have a lot of problems with this show. I'm sure it goes both ways for everything. But all I'm saying is I feel like it seems like people have had less patience in the near past than, so it's refreshing, I guess, to hear that.
Yeah.
You guys are just kind of waiting to see what this show brings, and it's good, and the show's good, so that helps too.
The show is good. I think of it like sports too, man. Like Star Wars is, you're not going to give up on your favorite sports team, even if they have a decade of trash seasons. You can criticize the owner and the coaches for bad decision making and stuff, but like, I'll always love this universe, and I'll always give it a chance.
That's a really good point. You always want Star Wars to succeed, right? You want it to be, good, so you can enjoy it more, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I think the other part is you started with the original trilogy, which was amazing. So you have such high expectations, and people I think feel more let down because it's really hard to meet that pinnacle again. And then you have the animated, like the Clone Wars, which everybody seems to really love, and you have so many characters that came from it that when you make Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, which Book of Boba Fett's kind of from the OT, but same thing. Like they're coming from really good things, and even Ahsoka, that people have such high expectations. They want it to be just as good. And you just can't always have it that way. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gonna be stuff
Another
you don't
thing
like.
Another thing we didn't have in 1977 was the internet. Like, I can tell you
Yeah.
everything about the inner workings of Lucasfilm and Disney because I'm crazy like that. I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm very fascinated by behind the scenes, and the problem with that is it can influence how you end up looking at the final product because you're like, oh, I know this person screwed that up because they wanted X, Y, or Z, and so even though I still watch a lot of those YouTube channels, I still like them. There is a cottage industry around hating Star Wars, like F Disney Star Wars and like F Ahsoka show, but before it even came out. And I'll just never be that guy. And if that makes me soft, I don't care because I love Star Wars. I'm not ready to give up on it.
Yeah. Mike, have you seen Light and Magic? The documentary on Disney Plus with like the making of Star Wars. It's like behind the
Yeah.
It goes through ILM, like Industrial Light and Magic.
Yep.
And it goes through like all behind the scenes of how they made the original trilogy. Graham, you would really like that. You should check it out. It's called, and like some of the later episodes aren't all Star Wars. It shows like the progression into like Pixar and stuff, but like the majority of it is the creation of Star Wars, and just like, man, it's wild how they made, like, I mean, everybody kind of knows like how they use the models and stuff like this, but this is like, you are looking at like video behind the scenes, and you're talking to all the people who worked on the project and stuff. Like, it's really, really cool.
Back in the day on the VHS, you used to have that too.
Yeah.
Highly recommend this if
cool.
you want to check out a book on the history.
So you're probably so you'll have some stuff to say about this episode, because I know there's stuff, I know for a fact there's stuff in this episode that comes from the archives, that George Lucas has talked about for a long time. We're going to get into that for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the episode. I'm really enjoying this show as well. You guys want to put a rating on it real quick? You want to give your out of 10?
Sure.
You go, Mike.
You go first.
Think about his.
I'm on the spot here because I hadn't thought about a rating before this.
I haven't either.
Man, it's such a short episode, right? So, because of my one gripe, which I haven't said yet, I'm gonna give it like a 7.5, 7, somewhere around there. I'd love to give it a little higher, but we'll get into it. But I liked it, so I hope nobody thinks that's a shit rating.
That's a good. No, it's a good. That's a good rating. Yeah.
I think my first 2 episodes combined, I think I gave a 7.5 to 8, just because it felt, a little slow, lots of setup, not necessarily bad, but just it's kind of just where I felt. And I did say I like this better, so it's obviously got to be higher than that. So I'm gonna go 8.225.
That's very fair.
8.25. 8.25.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
I gave the first 2 episodes a 9. I will say I felt like there was more intriguing stuff as far as how they established the plot, and more like revealing things in the first 2 episodes. I feel like that maybe kind of push it to that level. I'll give this one a solid 8. There's still some really good stuff in this, and I really, really enjoyed this episode. With it being a little bit shorter, I feel like that's, I would say, I still thought it was an excellent episode, but I'll say 8 out of 10. I just want to address some comments here before we get into we'll go kind of moment by moment in the episode here. Miami's Nemesis says, agreed, expectations are very high for all Star Wars series. Yeah, we all have really high expectations, and I feel like sometimes that gets in the way a little bit of like, just sometimes you just gotta like sit back and just wait and see what happens, and try not to like get too critical of things, I feel like.
But by the same token, it's always good to have a critical eye.
It is. It's important. It's important. I think it's important. Like it's for
but
sure.
not bash.
Yeah, critical but not bash. Yeah, don't get ugly with it.
Yeah, like I'll mindlessly consume things I'm less passionate for, but the things I'm most passionate for, I can't mindlessly consume.
It's good to have a critical eye, and you want to give your opinion on it, and you want it to be better, right?
This means too much to me to not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Spatria says, it feels like people have been binging the hell out of Ahsoka's story and are used to teenage Ahsoka, not 50-year-old Ahsoka. Yeah, I feel like that's one thing, is like people are used to Ahsoka being a certain way, and this show has obviously been different.
I'll get into that. Yeah.
Yep. Dilo says no more figures for you, Jedi.
You're not my mom.
Brick says, I'm just not sure I like the fact that anyone could be a Jedi. Other than that, I'm loving it. We're going to talk about that point in particular. We're going to get to that as far as, yeah, I got some stuff to say about that comment for sure. We'll get into it. I'm sure you guys do as well. Dilo says fans have such little faith in Disney that any stumble hurts the next new IP they introduce. Yeah, they have a very thin margin for error right now.
I think Boba really put like a dagger into Disney, because then everybody was super critical about Mando. Mando will be better, and then Mando stumbled, and I just think
season 3 kind of stumbled.
I mean, obviously the sequels really are what started it all, but
yeah, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4 punch, dude, because it was Kenobi. A lot of people didn't like it. Was Boba.
Kenobi, yeah, I like Kenobi too.
It was a lot. Andor, which I loved, and a lot of people didn't like. That's the lowest.
Yeah, people are like, it doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. There's no lightsabers. So
isn't Ahsoka doing just as bad rating wise as Andor?
I saw Ahsoka's 50% of what Kenobi was to start.
Yeah, it's 50% of Kenobi.
On track with Andor.
30% below season 3 of Mando, and then it depends what numbers you believe as far as viewership, because it's not Nielsen, it's this newer agency that's aggregating the numbers. It's 1 point something million, which is really, really bad for the first 6 days of those first 2 episodes. Now Disney came out and said it's actually 14 million. And when asked, what their metrics or numbers are, we don't share that data. So it's, who do you believe? 14
it's
million
interesting.
is good. One and change is really scary, so it's tough.
Yeah, that's been interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's a shame because
it is, because then like they've already talked about one of their cost cutting strategies is going to be to make less content because they want to focus on saving some money, which is unfortunate. Let's get into the episode here. So in this first moment, we have this like training right with Hu Yang, who is like, I just think Hu Yang is so cool because he's been around for just so hot. What'd you say? Hot toy? Hot toy Hu Yang. He's just like got this, like, I thought this scene was so cool. It's like, I like this. I feel like this has like this, like the show has like these samurai type, like Japanese, like you can see, like, I know Kurosawa's got like some like influences and stuff, right, for like the Star Wars universe and like those like older movies and stuff. So like I feel that for sure in Ahsoka from all the episodes. But this one's like, I thought this training sequence was really cool. I like Sabine's outfit, and then he has like these like really cool like these lightsaber training things of like where she's hitting it. It's like where, like what her timing is. I thought that was pretty cool.
I love that.
Yeah, I thought like this was, and like Hu Yang is just a super cool droid, and the fact that he's been around for so long. And I think a lot of people who probably haven't seen the animated stuff probably also think he's cool. I know like he's in the animated stuff, but I just think like I thought that this scene was pretty cool. You guys want to give your quick thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to see. And again, this is definitely where you feel like this is very much samurai-esque, where even just the room itself looked, you could see in one screen, one frame, all the lightsabers behind Ahsoka, almost like, would hang swords on the wall, just the room itself. And then even these, what would you call what he's holding? They're like,
I don't know. They're like training. They're like, like these training
hologram things.
Yeah, maybe hollow blades or something.
Yeah, even those look like something, just again like samurai. The way they were moving and kind of chanting like on the hits and stuff. And then obviously when she puts the blaster on, I'm like, this is a callback to A New Hope, and I didn't mind it. It was pretty cool. So it didn't feel like they hit you over the head with it, but it was easy to identify.
Mike, you want to give your thoughts on this one? This part?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was kind of like a callback to Grievous as well.
Yeah, with the forearms.
With the forearms.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool, and I really love that. Like we talked about, how it had the circles showing the cuts through the hologram was really, really great. And then you're right, like going back to Kurosawa. I mean, R2-D2 and C-3PO are designed as Kurosawa characters, I think, from Hidden Fortress. So this is the long tradition of having some samurai elements. I mean, just look at Ahsoka's design and dress here. and
Yep.
and this training session. So
when they first introduced her back when she was like when her and Morgan Elsbeth fought, like that was just like the whole episode when they introduced Ahsoka had that vibe, right?
it was like Japan, when they were
Yeah.
fighting on,
Yeah.
definitely. And then I just like seeing training, because it was one of the complaints of the sequel trilogy. It's like, we want to see more training, and they gave it to us in the final film a bit. But it's cool to see this. You want to see this growth. I love that she's not perfect and good at everything right away. I think that's a really important thing for a character, for the audience to relate to a character. So I think that's really, really cool. I'm excited.
And I think last week we talked about like, hopefully we get into, I think we talked about some of our predictions. Hopefully we get into some like Ahsoka Sabine training type scenario, right? So I think we got, it's nice that we got some of that. Then we get this part like, so Ahsoka then it's basically like
Sabine looks great, by the way.
Yeah. Sabine looks really. I really like this training outfit is really cool to me.
Me too. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I know how much you love Sabine. That's all I'll say. And then we get like this like a New Hope callback, right, where she puts like the mask. That people always want to do this like training in masks where you take away their vision. So I thought like this scene was pretty cool. So like we're getting kind of like this entry point into like how Ahsoka is training Sabine. And almost like, they end up having this conversation. We'll get to it about, the Force and stuff like that. But it's almost like, now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't really, thought too much about this scene in particular and how it connects to that. But it's almost like this is the starting bit of how Ahsoka is going to try to hopefully get Sabine connected to, the Force and stuff like that. So, I thought this was cool. Nice little callback. They've done good with like the little callback snippets for like the original trilogy and stuff like that. Everybody wants Hera in the chat apparently. Everybody says, did we get to Hera yet?
We'll get there.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. You guys have anything else to say about this little training scene here? Oh, there's Sabine on the floor.
It was just cool how like Ahsoka just being the leader and the wise veteran Jedi, would come in with the wooden blade and just kind of doing the tapping, and it was just cool to like you said, you don't see all that training that much, so it's cool to be able to see something.
Yeah. I thought this was a cool scene for sure. And then this was cool. And we get like these ships that fly in. I know it was like a kind of quick scene, and then we get there you guys go.
There you go.
Here we go. All right, we'll run the show on this picture. Well, I'll try to find a better picture for the next hour.
Is there a Hera crush going on in the chat?
Everybody loves Hera on this show.
Really? Okay, wow. All right.
So this was really...
Come on, Mike. You got to know about Hera.
Come on, Mike. You got to know about Hera, man.
You got to know what the hype is.
The hype.
Listen, I'm too distracted by Sabine. So,
Mike is, yeah.
I have a problem.
She's a peach, man.
T-Lo sneaker go slow. 13 in the chat. Smash that fat ass like button. Spotchka. Yeah, there you go. So this scene, anyways. This was like I thought one for like this scene with when Hera came in and she's talking to the senators. I thought this was just a really well acted scene as far as like Hera goes. I thought she nailed this scene. And like you could tell, like I feel like the emotion of the scene was like definitely on point, and you could feel kind of the tension. Another thing is like once again we start getting this like New Republic, basically like this New Republic, they don't give a shit. That's kind of what it seems like. Like we don't think we don't think Thrawn is a threat. He's been gone for many years. The only reason why they basically start like throwing these like basically like attacks at Hera, saying like the only reason why you really care is because she took, or like because he went with Ezra.
Right.
So
aren't they right though? Like they're like,
they are.
Hera, he's in another galaxy. We have other stuff to worry about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Nick, I'm with Mike. Sabine. Oh, plot. This is what we're going to talk about the whole show.
Listen, let's be honest here. The orange trousers did not escape my attention.
Oh, they know exactly what they're doing.
I guess they do.
They know exactly what they're doing. There's a reason why when they showed Sabine there's a reason why they showed Sabine when like the T6 is flying away and Sabine's standing, they change her pants to orange rather than like her animated look. Like they know exactly what they're doing. 100%.
back
Do you
to
guys?
this.
Yeah. Do you, Mike? You want to give your thoughts on this part?
Yeah, because I could go off on a tangent about that for a while, but we'll talk about the
There, I'll
scene.
just leave it right here. Okay. So you guys can get a little sneak peek.
Well, all I was going to say about the scene, two things. One, I think it's like really cool. This is a very short episode, but they touched on a lot of key things. So we get a little politics, we get some space battles, we get some training. So really, a lot happened that might at first viewing you might not really think happened. But one thing that was like weird about this, just in general, Star Wars in general for me, is like, let's say it's the American Revolution, and you're kind of like siding with the crown, but the crown loses. These new colonies win. They form their own country. Like, you're American now. My point is like there were former Imperials there. It's like you were all former Imperials. Like the Senate dissolved and became the Empire. So unless you were in this small band of rebels, like every farmer, Clerks talks about this. Like every guy working on the Death Star, like in plumbing, was an Imperial.
Yep.
So I know they're trying to like make this distinction, but is there really one? I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid point, but it's something that I was thinking about during this show. I was like, she's like, there are former Imperials working there. It's like, yeah, including pretty much 99% of the entire galaxy, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like they basically are like, well, the empire is done, and now all the former imperial people are doing jobs elsewhere. Like basically everything is done, and they don't care because the empire was like the greatest threat. Which I get that too. Like I get that. I kind of get both sides of this, where it's like Hera's concerned that because she knows Thrawn, but they're like, Thrawn is long gone, and he's been long gone for a while. Why would we be worried about that? He's just one man. And they like when this much time passes, they're probably not going to care like what type of they don't really see him as much of a threat at this point, especially because like they took down the Empire, right? Graham, you have thoughts on this? I'm just trying.
What were we talking
I'm
about?
trying not to laugh at the chat.
Oh God,
I'm not gonna lie, I missed that whole conversation.
Analyzing results already.
great.
Hey,
Obviously, I don't have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, Dilo says, but serious for a minute. Yeah, Hera came in guns blazing, then asked the guy for help. How about no? Yeah, these senators are probably just like, no.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
like, what do you think we're just going to like give all these resources for you to do this at this point? Like, everything is fine.
Well, it's not worth it to them to try to go find Ezra, who might very well be dead in their minds, to possibly bring back Thrawn, who might be in the same area or whatnot and could be alive. So I think, they don't want to mess with it. They would do anything to not have another war. I think that's their main thing. They just don't want to deal with that or fight with that. So just trying to keep peace. Kind of cool seeing Mon Mothma again. But I think this is also, just going to be leading up to them going out on their own and doing this together as a rebel group again and getting the band back together. And they went for help. They're not going to get it. So I think they're going to be taking matters into their own hands.
Yeah, Mon Mothma said, like, why would we like, we just finish a war? Why would you want to, why would we want to potentially start another one? Like they don't even want to go that route. Sorry, Mike, what were you going to say?
No, one other quick point. I think Mon Mothma, as she's played here, is the first official recast in Star Wars because she's now after the timeline of her first appearance. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we've had younger actors play younger versions of characters before, but that's not really a recast.
Yeah, because she's
This is technically the first recast in Star Wars that I'm.
Yeah, because now she's like beyond the point of the original trilogy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. She's so good as Mon Mothma. She's so good in Andor too. Like she's the character development just for her character alone in the show is just so good.
Absolutely love.
Was she in Rogue One?
Yes.
At all? Or? Okay. Thought so.
So
was
we
that
see her
the
there.
first time we saw this actress play?
I think that was the first time. Was that the first time in? Was that the first time in?
Was she in the prequels?
Yeah. She's in the prequels, isn't she, or no? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
Hold on a second. Anyway, you guys can.
I don't remember if they brought her back or not.
Because I know she's been playing this character for like well over for
Yeah,
about
it's been a
20 years.
while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
Genevieve
But anyways,
O'Reilly. Yeah,
yeah, she's great. She's great. I think she
is.
yeah, she does really well as Mon Mothma. So this is a good, I think, again, this is an interesting like setup scene of like, okay, well, what's, they don't, obviously the New Republic doesn't really care.
Yeah.
So like all this shit's probably going to end up going down. And then what is the New Republic going to do about it? Because we already know at some point it's going to be Rise of the First Order, right? So like, what's going to happen with the Republic when it comes to this that's going to potentially play into that? Because like, obviously once Thrawn comes in, I think we can all predict that like some shit's going to start to go down when that happens.
Yep.
Watching this scene too, and getting to, I'm only on the 7th episode of season 1 for Rebels, but like, I just already see, how Hera really takes Ezra under her wing and almost has like is that mother figure towards him, on the ship. So like, gave me a little bit more, I guess, gratitude for this scene, and knowing that she really cares about him and why and how they met and whatnot. So interested to keep watching that, but just, kind of brings more weight to the relationship for me as a viewer as well.
Yeah. I'm glad you're watching it. Stick with it because it gets better
definitely.
too. Keeps getting better and better. And then we get Hera. She walks out, and then we see like this is a pretty big. I don't know if I'll be able to get it. Oh, we get Chopper. It's not giving me like the exact pictures. But there we go. Yeah. So we get her son, right? We get Jason, her son. Which like this is pretty cool that we're seeing him in live action now. I think there was kind of a tease that we were going to, but like it's gonna be interesting to see how this dynamic plays out. I don't really know what that's going to be like in this show. I think it's interesting, like how much are they going to show with this? But as far as this, I know this scene was like relatively short, but like they nailed Chopper 100%. Like they could not have made a better Chopper for this show. Chopper is just so good. Yeah.
When does Rebels take place? How far behind A New Hope?
So
like
Rebels
a
takes
handful of years.
It's a few years.
It's before A New Hope. Rebels.
Yeah.
If that's
he's saying
question.
like how? Yeah, no, he's saying like how many years before?
Oh, okay. How many years before?
It's a few years.
Yeah. So Ezra is the same age as Luke.
Okay.
So if you want to think Luke is 19, I believe, in A New Hope, and when we see Ezra, maybe he was 14 or so.
I was gonna say I think it's 4 or 5 years before A New Hope.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not very far and I'm not very knowledgeable, but isn't her son in Rebels?
So her son is in the very end of Rebels.
Does Rebels kind of span over a period of time?
Yes.
Okay, because because I'm just wondering about the age difference. Wouldn't there be more of an age difference from now, I guess is what I'm getting at.
So not necessarily, because the end of Rebels, so when they show her with the kid, there's it's hard to say. I don't know I couldn't even give you the exact timeline. I have to look it up. Sure. It gets real messy because Rebels, towards the end, you get a little bit of a like
epilogue.
You get a little bit of an epilogue, and then the epilogue pushes time forward, and then also like the end of the Rebel season 4 kind of blends in with the beginning of this show. Like where you get like, so there's a lot of shifting in time, but it's not like there's not enough time for that to happen for him to grow up more than what he is in the show, if that's what you're asking. Sure. Yeah, he's not like, he wouldn't be like 20 years old or whatever.
He was cast age appropriately for this.
Yeah, he's cast age appropriate. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's like the right age for the show.
By the way, Genevieve O'Reilly was in Revenge of the Sith. So she's been on the scene since 2005, which is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad that they brought her back for this show, and like I said, Andor. Graham, that should be your next watch, Andor.
I'm 2 episodes in, but that's a tough one to watch at night.
It won't be once it picks up.
Yeah.
Below that age, like 5.
I didn't know she was in 10 Cloverfield Lane. If you guys ever saw that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was the lady in that. Makes me want to watch it again. That's a good movie.
His wife, Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Thanks for your thoughts on that one, guys. This, I feel like, is probably the biggest thing for me as far as the episode goes to talk about in regard to like, bigger implications. And this is something that I guess for a lot of people who are probably more casual fans is probably more of like whoa, like I never really thought this was a thing, but this has already been alluded to in the past in other episodes of, Rebels. This is alluded to. And like, if you know anything about George Lucas, as far as like what his, George Lucas himself, what he says about the Force, like what, in the past and what he said, like it makes sense what happens here. But Graham, because like you haven't seen the animated stuff much, like maybe you go first here and give your thoughts about kind of what you think of this scene as far as, we talk like when it's talking about like how the Force is in, Force is in all living things. And then she's kind of talking about how Sabine can tap into that, like, and then she tries to obviously like move the cup, and that doesn't work out because it wasn't going to work out. So maybe give your thoughts on this scene here and kind of how this conversation was.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't like piss me off or anything like that, but at the same time, I was always under the impression that people were almost gifted with the Force, and the Force is strong with you. Like, you have the Force, you might not know it, but just how it has always worked. Like, Luke never knew he was Force sensitive. Rey never knew until people told her. Or I don't know. She started figuring it out. But somebody said, and I don't remember who it was because my memory sucks. But somebody said it's like, maybe it was even you, Sneaker. I don't remember. Like karate, right?
Could have been me.
Like karate. Like
anybody
can learn karate if you're dedicated enough to learning how to do it. But anybody can do it, but not a lot of people do for whatever reason. Maybe because it's hard or whatever. Like, same thing with the Force. If you're dedicated enough to learn it, anybody can do it. I get that, but I don't know if I like that. I think I like it more as like it's gifted upon you, and then you have to kind of tap into it and learn from there. Like, I don't like the fact that just it's everywhere and anybody can use it. Like, it's everywhere, but I don't think it's should be for everyone. Like Jedi were like a very small portion of the population, and there's an extreme gift to be able to be a Jedi and have the Force and have Force powers. So that's at least always how I grew up watching it. So obviously it's changed a little bit, but it's not like it pisses me off entirely. I just don't know if I like it.
So I think one thing is like, I feel like I wanted your interpretation first, because I feel like a lot of people are going to feel your way who don't know too much about, like, I guess who haven't seen this stuff in the past, or just like, there's basically like Ahsoka mentioned something where she says like talent helps. Talent, I think, is where the Jedi really come into play, because like they have midichlorians. That's one big thing where they're like, midichlorians are allowing them to like be capable of using the Force more so than just like an individual who's Force sensitive. So George Lucas has said from basically like since he created Star Wars that like everyone, his take is like everybody's Force sensitive. Like everybody has the ability to basically use the Force because the Force is in all living things. It's just a matter of how they are able to culminate that and use it. So if you're blocked off from the Force, like a great example of this is like Chirrut Imwe.
I was just going to say
the dude was so into, but he did not use the Force. So like he was connected with the Force, but he didn't have like Force powers. He's not he's not using these different fighting techniques and stuff that Jedi do as far as like Force pushing or Force pulling people, but he was so in tune and connected to the Force that he used it to his advantage, and he like that was how he did it. So as far as Sabine goes, for me, I don't really see this developing into like Sabine being a Jedi who's using like all these crazy Force like maneuvers that you see Jedi use. I think we're gonna see her probably like to like tap into it and maybe like like kind of like be one with the Force, if you will, kind of like how Chirrut is. Like that's the one that I thought about. I don't know necessarily. It's gonna be interesting.
Training to be a Jedi.
I don't know if that's the really interesting part, is how far are they going to take that. Mike might have something to say about this, as far as like, maybe Mike, I'll let you chime in here as far as what your thoughts are on this with Sabine. Yeah, like why is she training to be a Jedi? I don't know if so much it's about her training to be like a complete full-on Force user. I just don't. My gut feeling says they're not going to go that route with her, where she's doing like all this crazy stuff that a normal Jedi would do. Mike, what do you have? What do you
Yeah.
have to say about this one?
Well, this kind of touches on what I was saying earlier and what we were all saying, which is like I want to let the show kind of like happen and go with it because if you watch Rebels, like Sabine holds her own with Kanan and Ezra.
She
She's
can
a
fight.
badass, and she can fight with a dark saber. Like, it feels like we're forcing this onto the character, but that's because I already know the journey of the character up to this point.
Yeah.
So maybe if I hadn't, I wouldn't have that baggage. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, she is an awesome Mandalorian with like all these other great attributes. She doesn't have to be a Jedi. It's just weird. But yes, according to Lucas and then Filoni, everybody has the Force, and I've always not everybody has the Force. Everybody's connected to the Force.
Yeah.
It's how you can, use the Force, and of course we have midichlorians involved in all that too. But there's a whole lore to it. But I'm just curious to see where they go with it.
Yeah,
Because
me too.
I really hope that she's never able to do anything with it besides like maybe like one little thing in a clutch moment, but it's like small. Because that also, one of the things that people used to love about Rey, especially in the beginning, was that she was a nobody. She's just like us, like anybody can be. And I kind of like want that to actually hold true with Sabine. Like, I don't want her to ever really be a powerful Force user.
Do you see that happening? Like, what does your gut tell you? Like, if you were to guess where this is going to go, I know you said they kind of want to see it play out. Like, where do you see her ending up as far as how she's able to utilize the Force?
So I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I don't see her being like, to go back to lore, like Kenobi was considered one of the like lowest Force powered Jedi at that time. There's like stories of Qui-Gon looking at him during training and going like, "Oh my God, he's terrible." And Obi-Wan is like amazing, right? He's an amazing character. So you don't all have to be like super powered Jedi to be a worthwhile character. But I like you said though, I really want to see where they take this. And I also think that Ahsoka doesn't have the luxury like you did in the prequels. They could just use their resources because they were going all over the galaxy and taking Force sensitive kids and training them. So it was a different time. It was a different era. They had access to young kids with Force abilities. Like Ahsoka's one person. This is someone she trusts, someone who has the same goal as her. So she's probably like, look, I don't really have anybody else to train besides Jason. And we're not going to do that. So
we're not going to do.
We're not going to go there. Like I'm not going to. Yeah, like Hera won't let me take this kid to another galaxy or whatever. So it makes sense. Like if you were Ahsoka, wouldn't you want to try your best to imbue some of your Force abilities maybe into this character if you can?
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do Force ability wise. Like that's I guess what's left to be seen is what like connection level is she going to have with the Force. I hope they do it something like I said, I keep coming back to Chirrut because he's like for me the ideal example of somebody who's so well connected to the Force but isn't like a Force user essentially in a way where he's doing like what Jedi do. But Jedi have the midichlorians. They have the talent to be able to manifest the Force in different ways. That's what makes them special. That's why they were taken from their families by the evil rebels at a young age.
Exactly. I will say though, this whole sequence is still very true to Sabine's character.
Yeah.
If you remember her training with Kanan, she was very similar to her attitude training here with Ahsoka. Yeah. So, I love that through line of her character.
Yeah. And there's a scene in Rebels when Kanan is, him and Hera are standing on top of a hill looking down on Ezra. I think this is a scene where like Ezra and Sabine are training. Yes. And Kanan mentions like, the Force is in all living things. Sabine is somewhat closed off to the idea. Like she can, like she's a great fighter and a great Mandalorian warrior, but she's closed off to this idea of connecting with the Force basically is his interpretation. Sure. So he's like getting a little frustrated with that. Cause he's trying to like,
Sorry, if you go back and watch that scene, you see another owl. I don't know if you've like seen
that like right up at the flying overhead.
And is that supposed to be symbolic of her Force power as
that owl?
We do see the Morai for Ahsoka, and then we see an extra one in that moment.
Yeah. So where are they taking? Yeah.
Filoni plants seeds, man, and sometimes they pay off years later. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another thing with the show. With it, that's why I'm a lot more confident with it being Filoni and Rebels being, we talked about this in the past, but with with Clone Wars and Rebels, with him at the helm, with all that stuff, like he knows all these moves in this show of all the different, whether or not you dive, shallow or deep into the lore, everything you can tell is calculated in what the choices are that are being made, and they're a symbol of something. That's what I feel. Graham, you have anything else to say about that, or are you falling asleep because we're getting into the deep nerdy lore?
I'm taking in the deep lore because it's over my head, so I'm just taking it all in. I'm learning.
So that's like kind of this like that's how it's the whole thing with the Force is really interesting. That's why I always say this, like, it's so good you're watching Rebels and just the animated stuff, because you get so much of this stuff that I feel like the majority of people, if you just watch the main movies, you're not really going to get into it. But at the same time, I feel like this can still appeal to somebody with the way that it was explained in the show if you're not really deep into it. And we've talked about this in the past as well. Like, I think the show has done a nice job of doing that, of, catering to both audiences.
Yeah, I agree.
If you will. So yeah, then she tries to move the cup. It doesn't work out, right?
Yeah. Before we move on,
and then while I watched that, I was trying to move something in my room.
Then you were like,
I'm with you, lady.
Can't say I haven't tried that.
Not happening.
But so this is the scene where, like, my biggest complaint with the show is, and I hate to say it because Rosario Dawson's a great actor, I just don't understand this choice. It's just a bizarre choice to me. I feel like she's playing this character. It's not stoic to me. It's just tired and boring. I mean,
yeah, you don't like it.
Alec Guinness was stoic, and I know this is Grandma Ahsoka, but I'm sorry, Alec Guinness was Alec Guinness was like twice her age. Go back and watch him explain the Force to Luke in that scene, and it's riveting.
He's just so wise and just like, he's like, you can tell he's been through some shit.
And if you go back and watch the scene here, she's like, the Force is in everyone. Like, she's like exhausted or bored, and when she's bored, I'm bored. There's just no, look at this.
There's just bored.
Took her like 20 seconds to move this cup into her hand. Is Grandma Ahsoka doing?
But maybe the chat disagrees. And I know some people have said, like, oh, she's older now. And I'm like, listen, man, I watch old people in movies all the time. You don't have to be boring. And I just feel like Ahsoka, for me anyways, playing it, the choice is boring. The choices she's making. I
think from a visual perspective, they did a perfect job. Like, I think she's a great casting as far as live action visual perspective, but that doesn't always could obviously transition into the acting part, which I think you're speaking of, like, her bringing the character to life.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want her to suffer what the other main characters have in Star Wars, where the main character gets kind of put behind, and all these other characters kind of outshine them. And
this is her show.
Yep.
You don't want that to have. Like, I don't know. But hopefully, I don't know. I'm still hopeful it picks up for her.
Yeah,
me too.
I am too.
She has like this breakthrough, or something happens to her that either breaks her or changes her, or some sort of character arc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there will be as the tension rises in the show. I think there will be.
But no, I see what you're saying, Mike, because she's definitely not one of the most memorable characters so far,
Yeah, and it's her show, so you gotta you gotta still make it her show. But it's hard because I could also see looking back on this when the show was done and just being like, it was called Ahsoka, but we basically just got a continuation of Rebels, and that's what the show is. Which
I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it either. But at the same time, there's going to be people who have the expectation that, like you're saying, Graham, of like, this is literally called Ahsoka. She should be like the highlight of the show, right?
It'd be just like Book of Boba Fett. We were happy to see Mando and Luke and Ahsoka, but at the same time, and that's some of the best Star Wars we've seen, but then at the same time, you're like, but this is Book of Boba Fett. Where the hell is Boba?
Yeah, not Mando season 2.5.
Right?
Yep. Which were some of, like, I would agree, those episodes in Book of Boba Fett with Mandalorian and Luke and Ahsoka talking, like, those were just phenomenal episodes. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what happens. Also, I think they call it Ahsoka because they know how many people are going to get pulled in by that,
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, this is a show. It's called Ahsoka. So many people love Ahsoka. She's a fan favorite.
For sure.
So I think like that's definitely part of the draw to it as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think like once we got into kind of like this, I felt like I will say versus the first two episodes, I felt like Ahsoka as a character, like it was opened up a little bit more. But yeah, I still feel like I kind of want more in that regard too, of like what more are we going to see from her live action of the true character that she is. I just wanted to get to this comment real quick. D'Lo said, I give her a break. Appreciate during the Clone Wars, a Jedi betrayed her and her master is Vader. Yeah. So that's what we talked about last time too, is like, she's been through some shit. And like the Jedi burned her real bad to make her like leave the order because they literally didn't believe what she was saying as truth. You know, they said like, they basically said, we don't believe you. Like, how do you, it would be really hard to recover from something like that when you have everybody who's literally created you to be this person that you're supposed to believe everything they're telling you. And then you get basically burned by them super bad. Like, you're going to be different too. You know what I mean?
The only one who had your back became freaking Darth Vader.
Yep, the only person who has your back, Anakin Skywalker,
evil person
becomes literally exactly. And then they fight, and like it just becomes a whole thing. So like Ahsoka's been through some shit. Like I'm sure and I think that's why you see the really calculated nature. To me, like that's what it seems like. But I get what you're saying too, Mike. Where your perspective of it is like it just seems boring because we're not really getting a lot out of her. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like I know Ahsoka's story. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's just some choices in certain scenes. Like you said, that table scene picks up though afterwards in the ship.
Yeah, like once we get on the ship and she starts doing some badass stuff on the outside of the ship, and like when she's in action scenes, I feel like it's fine, and she's doing like she's like more in character. So it'll be interesting to see how she develops, if there is a lot of development with her, like what how like her intentions are moving forward and what she starts to talk more about, especially as we get into obviously what's going to become what looks like a more challenging situation, and once they get into like them actually fighting with the villains of the show.
But I feel D'Lo's point
too though is, does she need to develop? We've all this backstory on Ahsoka and we know who the character is.
That's a fair point.
Should we even have to wait for her to develop in this?
I think we should have to, because we can't rely on people having seen. You don't get enough from Mando. You know what I'm saying?
I would like to see some development of her in this stage of her her arc.
Right.
That's
true.
Kind of like Rebels.
Yeah. Another thing is like you look at Obi-Wan. He's still in A New Hope. He's at the end of his arc, essentially, even though it's the beginning of like the beginning culmination or the start of Star Wars. Obi-Wan is at the end of his arc in A New Hope, and we get a lot of like big moments from Obi-Wan Kenobi, and obviously in A New Hope. So hopefully we get something like that, and I think we will. I ultimately do think we're going to get something more out of Ahsoka's, with what happens with her character. Like, I think it's too early right now to, to put a stop to that. But I think, for sure, I think we're gonna get something. That's what makes it hard to break down episode by episode, because
we might get some like emotional breakdown in episode 5 when she's like, "I'm being hard on you because of blah blah blah," and then like all of a sudden she's like, "I'm sorry I've been so closed off, but after what I've been through, D'Lo the Collector will tell you all about it."
Flashback
through all this shit.
Like, and that's why hopefully, and that's what I was talking about last week too, as far as like, it would be so good to get it. Like, we got a little bit of her and Luke talking to each other in Mando, but why can't we get that as like a pure one-on-one conversation between them, of like, from an emotional perspective, how they both feel about Vader and their experiences with Darth Vader? I feel like that would just be so valuable, and like that would be something that I feel like is important. I do think we get it'd be like a huge thing
for people who haven't seen Clone Wars. It'd give you everything you needed. It would bring you right up to speed.
And who else, like when else has there been a conversation between two people like that, two characters who have gone through what they've gone through in regard to Vader himself, his Padawan and his son, like there's not really going to be another character that would just be for them to not, or I guess for them to, pass that opportunity up, and like, you don't hire this CGI person on for or like this deep fake person on for nothing. Like, you got to start trying to take advantage of, of that stuff. Hopefully they do.
They should.
That's probably like my biggest hope, is like we get an Ahsoka and Luke conversation.
Well, even Luke could just be so much more. From what he already is. Like.
Yeah. Like I've gotten emotional meeting the grown-up children of my friends, like people I went to high school with. Like, imagine the grown-up child you meet is the son of freaking Darth Vader. Like, I want to see that. I want to see them have that conversation.
Hopefully. Anyways, I digress to last week's episode.
Sorry, yeah, me too.
Just show me more. Mercer Crate, what is up, man? Welcome to the show. He says Ahsoka's the most boring character in all of Star Wars. I loved her in the Jedi episode.
Yeah,
good.
I mean,
I love that.
Hopefully that doesn't hopefully people don't, especially like people who haven't really seen too much of her. Hopefully they're not just like, wow, this. I can see, Mike. I can see what you're saying. Like coming from the out, like if you have that perspective, even though you've seen the animated stuff. Yeah. Imagine how some people feel who haven't seen any of that, where they might just feel like, wow, Ahsoka's just like, she's not really doing anything.
Dude, I got to tell you, I watch a lot of YouTube. It is the number one bitch about this show.
That she's boring.
She's the most boring character people have ever watched on screen.
So hopefully, same. But in the show, she's boring. Yeah, I can appreciate that, that opinion with how it's gone so far. So in this scene, we get this picking up a little bit here. And then we get the characters are just so good. I feel like we get, more Shin Hati. They haven't really said her name. We obviously know it's Shin, but I don't know if it's Haiti or Hati or Hati or I don't know. We don't know exactly how her name is said, but I think she looks so cool. I also love the fighters that they're in.
Old school.
D'Lo says
got the old school heads on.
Arms crossed as the following. Ain't that the truth?
It's true, man.
Yeah, she's got Graham, what'd you say? She's got like this old school headset on?
Aren't they using old fighter pilots? And then she's got the old headset that Anakin was wearing.
Yeah,
so
this is where the fun begins. Yeah,
and they say neat trick or something in later on.
Yeah.
Then that was the other A New Hope throwback for me when she goes into, in the ship into the little taking on the blaster,
to the cannon,
the
cannon, yeah,
it was great.
That was just the other throwback for me.
Yep, I thought this was cool. It's always fun seeing scenes like this where they go into I feel like they do this a lot, where they go into the blaster cannon or they do this chase scene where somebody's on the gunner. I appreciate that stuff. I think it was cool.
Iconic.
And then you get a little bit of dynamic between Ahsoka and Sabine too, where they're, talking to each other. So that's why when I say I felt like it picked up, then you start hearing them actually, there hasn't been a lot of dialogue in this show. So this kind of picks it up. And then we got Marok, who obviously we talked about this last week too, just a really intriguing character that I hope they do something with. And I hope he's not just a mass inquisitor. There's a lot of theories going on with him right now.
Chance that it's Ezra?
No.
No chance?
No.
Mike?
Nope.
Nah.
I don't see that happening.
He doesn't have Ezra's build or anything either.
No.
So
the more and more that I think about it, the more I think that this is some type of culmination of Starkiller.
That would be sick.
That's the one that for me, the leading theory that I've heard is that I've actually put some thought into. I don't like getting too much into those because what this reminds me of when Mando season 3, when everyone's like, the armorer is the spy. She's the spy.
Yeah.
She's that's what this kind of reminds me of. And then she ends up being who she truly is, which is she wants to lead, lead the people or as be in Mandalore and, connect everybody. So my top thing is there's too many things that line up. You have Marok, it sounds the same. You have Sam Witwer, who's honestly getting Sam Witwer in a live action role would just be perfect for this this type of character. You know what I mean? But then you get moments where this character's talking to Shin Hati and it doesn't know, I don't know if they're taking orders from her or something, but there's got to be something. I'm hopeful they're putting a lot of emphasis on this character for them to just just make them a maskless villain or enemy in the show. The one thing I will say though is that it has happened before where Dave Filoni has put in if you watch Tales of the Jedi, there's a badass inquisitor that basically is maskless and you never know anything about it. So that could potentially happen. I really hope it doesn't.
You got me on the armor.
The armor.
I know. As fans, we get. I mean, listen. Ryan Johnson told us your theories suck. If you remember from Snoke, he said your Snoke theory sucks. So you always got to be careful getting too excited about any theories, but because you could end up getting sliced and dying, and that's it. Yo, if he's Mace Windu, that would be the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I was talking to Cage this. I said you can't spell Marok without MAC. It's got to be Mace. Confirmed.
So, do you guys know about the King Arthur reference?
Mm-mm.
So, in the Legends of King Arthur, there is a knight named Marok, and he works for someone who works for a witch named Morgan, which is kind of incredible. And
Interesting.
They
always pull shit from stuff like that too. You know what I mean?
Kanan, Ezra, those are biblical names that have references to the characters. So I just appreciated that. I just wanted to throw that out.
And that gives me more confidence that they're going to do something with this character rather than just make it a mask. This character is doing too much in this show so far and being shown too much. He's already had a lightsaber battle with Ahsoka. Like, there is no way that this character is just like, to me, I would just say it's got to have some significance.
Yeah, Filoni doesn't do throwaway.
Yeah, if this was a throwaway, I feel like we would probably know it already. You know what I mean? Ray Skywalker. Yeah.
That would be my favorite, actually.
One thing I want to say about this, like when we see Morgan Elsbeth here in like this, this area here, I think this is the same thing we end up seeing like in the trailer, when you see the back of Thrawn's head and he's walking. I'm pretty sure he's in this room.
Makes sense.
You see this like golden ring here, so like I wonder how that's gonna play out and like what they're gonna do, like how it's gonna be interesting to see when Thrawn is he's gonna be shown. We know he's coming. Like, where is he gonna be when he's revealed and how they're gonna do that? That's kind of got me thinking when it comes to this. And then we get so they're starting to get hit, and then Ahsoka ends up going to I don't know how much you guys want to talk about this part, but starting to get hit. Ahsoka says, I'm going to the outside of the ship, and then she puts on this I think it's cool. Like, I think this spacesuit looks pretty cool. Hot toy. This is what I think. I think they're more likely to do this for an Ahsoka. I would say like this is a possibility depending on how much more she wears it. Like, this would be a smart move to do this rather than just do a straight up 2.0, unless they fix some of the problems with the original one. But
I held off buying that first Ahsoka because I knew they'd come out with one for the show, and if this is the one to come out with, I'm going backwards.
Go get that one.
You're going backwards. You'll have the ability to definitely go backwards. But I like this. I thought this. Graham, I know we chatted a little bit about this, and you thought like this was something that was pretty cool. Hu Yang is just out.
Yeah,
just passed
something
out.
that you don't see a lot in Star Wars is actually a ship dead in the water with like just floating in debris. I don't know, for some reason I really enjoyed that part. Like, you usually just see ships blow up, but you don't really see a ship just get clipped and then it's just sitting there dead. So I thought that was kind of a cool aspect to it. And then I wouldn't have expected her to go outside and be flipping around and doing stuff. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool.
There's a couple moments in the animated where this type of stuff happens too. There's a couple of moments like this. There's one too in Rebels, I believe, that you'll see. I believe with Ezra, that's similar as far as like them going out onto the ship and stuff. But yeah, I thought this was cool. I thought the outfit was cool too. Cool little scene going through, and then them getting obviously blasted, and then they. So what did you guys like? What did you guys think of this? Of like her. I know like I don't want to play too much of this because I don't want to get YouTube on me for playing too much of a clip. I'm trying to just do stills, but I can't really get it. But anyways, there's the part where she's floating and she's like, come and get me. Like, did that remind you guys of anything?
Use the Force,
of somebody else floating in space?
Use the Force.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised as to why she didn't just like she could have. I was kind of surprised she didn't just reach out and just like pull herself back to the ship using the Force. But
maybe because that was a stupid part that we're all just trying to forget.
But it would have been the perfect callback, Graham. Come on.
Does she have?
We don't want to call back to that stuff.
Yeah, really.
It's too early for a callback to that.
On her back or no? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, what kind of spacesuit doesn't have like boosters?
Right.
So this was cool. I thought this.
Yeah, that was cool.
I want to know like how they filmed this because I thought it looked pretty badass. Like, it looked like she was actually floating in space when they did.
Well, how come she was running on the ship, but then she must have
too like zero gravity? She probably had zero gravity boots or whatever on.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So like that allowed her, but when she jumped, then it made her float because she couldn't come back down.
Yeah.
Space science.
Like, Star Wars has always been a little. That's why it's
when it comes to space, I
fantasy,
don't believe.
it's not sci-fi.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
believe in anything. This is it's not it's definitely not sci-fi because like you wouldn't hear all these noises in space either, and shit wouldn't explode the way it does and all that. So
exactly,
take it
and
for
that's
what it is.
the fun
Take
of
it for what
Star
it
Wars.
is.
It's fantasy, not sci-fi. So
Yeah.
it has more liberty than Star Trek.
I think it's
But
way cooler
why-
to think about hearing stuff in space and it just being a freaking just no noise at all.
Can you imagine if all the space battles are silent?
It's just
Like, what?
no sound.
But like, so again, these are little things that I'm willing to overlook. But like, shoot the ship. Like they're like, oh, I see her on the wing. It's like,
Yep.
shoot the ship, and she's gone. But
I thought the same
whatever.
thing on it when I turned to my wife when I was watching this and I was like, people are going to be mad about this moment of the episode because people are going to be like, well, why didn't they just blow up the ship? It would have been done. They just blew up the ship and they would have killed them because they're not going to do that, you know?
Exactly.
So I'll give up, like, I give a pass for that type of stuff because
Me too.
like it's part of it. She put on that spacesuit quick. Andor's still the best of the Star Wars shows. Man, don't sleep on Andor, I'm telling you. So
It's
good.
great, dude.
Especially the second half of the show. Second half is so good. Once you hit kind of, I think, like the midpoint is when it gets real crazy. Anything else you guys want to say about that scene? Cage has a question. We can get to that if you guys don't have anything else to say.
No, I was just gonna say I love how Hu Yang, his whole involvement in the scene and out of the scene and coming back.
Then they
That was
turn him
great.
back on when he's done. Yeah.
Great character.
He is really cool. Cage said, what do you guys think about the tension between Morgan and Shin?
Love it. Love
I do
that.
too. That's why I say like there's got to be like
Something's going to happen there.
Something's gonna happen there. Yeah, I would agree.
Those two are, and if Balin's involved in it as well. But I think towards the end, somebody's gonna maybe
break.
not turn good, but just maybe turn more evil, or have a different plan that they want to do themselves. And I think it's gonna go haywire for them.
Something's gonna break.
Yeah, like I think they're guns for hire with a different goal than their boss.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There you can tell like it's intriguing what their characters are. This is, I think we kind of alluded to this last week too. Like you don't have that much power in just like basically report to somebody else and let them basically do anything they want, and you're just their mercenary. You know, I like how they're labeling them as mercenaries, but these are not just guns for hire. Like these are, one of them's obviously a Jedi. I guess we can call a former Jedi. I guess we can call, you can call however semantically however you wanted to, but yeah, like they obviously are very strong.
Yep. They need each other until they don't, right? So like they need her connections to the Corellian shipyard to get this whole apparatus going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's not something they can just do with brute force. So they used her for that, and she's using them, and we'll see where that leads. But I think that's going to come to a head.
Yeah, I agree. I also really love the scenery. I mean, I love all the cinematics in this show, but like the transition from the space down into like this cloudy area, and like you can just see the transition from here when they're look at the plant. Like this is the stuff that I like to look at too when I watch this stuff of like, especially when I do a rewatch of like, you see all this stuff on the planet, like all these clouds. And when they transition into it, like it literally looks like they're transitioning like right into what you're seeing before. I feel like it would be easy to just do a cop out and not really like put in those little details. But then like I thought the transitions have always been really good in Star Wars. But yeah, they go right down into the clouds, and then you obviously after this portion they go right down into like the forest and stuff. But I thought the transition from space onto the planet was so cool. And then obviously we get like this really, this crazy. We start seeing the Purgle. So again, like this episode is kind of like a transitional episode, but like now we're seeing the planet that they're on. We're seeing Purgle basically down in the atmosphere of this planet. Like has pretty big implications. Mike, you go ahead. You can talk. You can speak to this part if you want.
No. I was actually more curious to hear what Graham had to say, because I wonder if some people look at this as like a jump the shark kind of moment. Like, what? There's whales in space? Are you kidding me? But
yeah.
Obviously,
I'm definitely familiar with the Purgles, and I know Ezra can. He can like control their moods. Is it, or
he basically like helped them? So like by helping them, I think they developed a connection basically.
Right. And they pretty much live in hyperspace, right?
Yeah, like they basically like guide hyperspace lanes.
Right.
is I think what the kind of like the big thing.
So
is.
I don't remember why they're on that planet, but just
Yeah, I
kind
don't
of going
think
back
it's
to what you said about the transitions into planets. I think that's really cool too, just because it feels more realistic and it gives you more appreciation for the galaxy that they're building here. Like I first noticed it in Mandalorian season 3 when they're coming to Bo-Katan's castle and they're coming through and there's like these clouds and the hard rain, and then you just see it and the clouds disappear and they're in like this sun and everything. So I thought that was cool, and here kind of the same thing with the red trees and everything. It was a really cool planet. But then you see the Purgles, and you could see Sabine, her eyes just kind of light up because she knows Ezra's has something to do with them too. So outside of that, I know, like I said, I know about the Purgles, but I don't know exactly everything about it. So I can't really give you anything in depth. I just knew, okay, we're getting kind of another teaser here for Ezra, and when will we see him? And that was kind of what I took from it.
Yeah, she hasn't seen a Purgle in a while, right? That's like another.
And she got emotional. She got really emotional about
it.
So
because the last thing, well, Graham, did you see? Do you know about like Rebels finale?
I know what happens. Like I haven't seen it, but I know what happens with Ezra and Thrawn.
Yeah, as far as like them getting pulled away. So like,
he basically sacrificed himself.
Yeah. So like, do you want me to tell you like a little bit more detail about the scene? I guess.
If you want.
So.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you. You can watch it. You can watch it. I don't want to tell you because you're still watching it, so I don't want to. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna tell you. But anyways, like the Purgle are obviously a significant creature, and like I said, this is the first time she's seen a Purgle, I believe, since she last saw Ezra. So like this is a big moment of hope, I would think, for her in seeing a Purgle. I think.
And they teased that in the Mandalorian, so it's kind of nice that they are at least tying things together. I think when everybody saw that too, they immediately thought of the Ahsoka show and what's going to happen, and kind of put 2 and 2 together. But it is cool that we kind of were reintroduced a little bit to it in Mandalorian. And I know at that point I didn't know, so I had to look it up. So there's probably a ton of people out there like, doesn't mean shit to me. Like I don't okay.
And I think now
there's aliens or animals in hyperspace.
Yeah, there's a space whale.
Yeah,
It's Star Wars. There's a space whale.
Right.
I feel like, which is fair enough.
Part of the lore of Purgle is that that's how the first people who like learned about hyperspace. It was from Purgle. It was like whoever the first beings were. They might not have been humans or whatever they were in the Star Wars universe. It was the Purgle that they understood how to travel these hyperspace lanes from. So like they're key. They're not just like some animals that can do that. They're like key to what created essentially this galactic Senate and Empire, because you couldn't have it without hyperspace, and you couldn't have hyperspace without the Purgle. So
yep. And now we're talking. Now we're talking about like this. They're trying to do this massive jump to another galaxy. The Purgle are in some way going to be involved, and that's probably why you see them down on this planet too. Is because this planet is like what's looking like to be the kind of forefront of them doing this expedition to like this other galaxy.
Sure.
Totally. So it'll be interesting to see like what the Purgle are going to play a role. It's just going to be interesting to see, because we kind of talk about Ezra. Like Ezra has a connection to them, and like they're, like if you develop a connection to them, like how is that going to manifest in the show? I think that's pretty interesting too.
It is.
Nevertheless, I thought this was really cool. Yeah, Graham, you talked about like this transition into like these red trees. Like I thought this planet just looks so cool. Yeah, like they nailed it with this, like the cinematics, and they nailed it with like the aesthetics of the different planets, and just like the feel of the show just has such a good feel. Like it's like the show's kind of dark, like the areas are dark, but it's not like too dark. Like sometimes you're like, dang, you just like, can't see. Dark. You can't see anything. You gotta turn up the bright. Yeah, it's not Game of Thrones. Like House of the Dragon dark, where like everyone's like, I can't even see the episode. But it's just like matches the feel of the show. I always appreciate that, and like. I feel like in the past you always see like, oh, they're flying down to a planet, and then it just shows them landing on their landing. Like it cuts right to their ship, they're flying in, and then it cuts to the ship and they're landing. Like Mando and this, they're really like, I mean, some of it is probably them taking advantage. I don't know if they're using like the volume for this too, and like putting it into CGI. Like the volume is probably, I think the volume that they're filming it in is just doing them like a lot of service when it comes to cinematics, because they can just make stuff look so cool. I wish I had one. I wish my walls were a volume in my basement so I could just be
oh my god. One day, dude. But last thing I want to say about this planet is like it's no easy feat after this much Star Wars content to create a planet that people are still like, wow, that's cool.
Yep.
That looks great. Like it's doesn't feel rehashed. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Then they land, and then you get, and then and then Hu Yang is like, I forgot about this part. Hu Yang is like, yeah, he talks to them about developing like this really large hyperspace ring. So it's fine. It's confirmed that it's that, which I guess we already kind of knew that, but, yeah,
it was a good tension building moment too. Like he needed to get closer to download everything. Like
yeah.
it was good, like tying a story element into building tension in that moment.
Yeah, like they had to do it right, and then that led them to basically them being shot up and then having to land on this planet.
Exactly.
And then we get to this part, which man, it's so sad that he passed away. Obviously, his character is just like so badass. I just can't like this dude is built like a refrigerator. He's just like a freaking tank. He's just like, I really hope. What's that?
He's got a good beard.
Oh yeah, he's got a good beard. His look is just like the gray hair is doing it for him. For this, like this character just is like so badass. And I think, I also saw like I can't zoom in really, but, I also actually hold on. I can't really zoom in. He's wearing a ring. I forget exactly what. Like I saw something online about him wearing a ring that some other character was wearing as well. That might have some significance. I'd have to go look it up again. I forget what it was. But anyways, his character just looks so good, and I hope they really do him justice with whatever they do with his character. And I think that they will. I'm hopeful that they will, obviously. But yeah, he just looks so cool. Another interesting thing is like I thought at this scene was like he's just like they've landed somewhere in the forest, go find them. Like why isn't he going?
Right.
Like why is he just sending everybody else to go find him? Like why wouldn't he want to go? You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like that's just that was kind of weird to me, is why wouldn't if you have who you want landing on this planet, you think that he would go. And he's just also, like, go try to find her in the that's what I'm saying, is like that kind of made me think like, well, why do you want them to go and you're not going to go in this situation? Because it's obviously really imperative that you stop them. So that's I thought that was an interesting point. Maybe he is going to go. He's just like, well, go. Maybe he's going to turn around and like follow them in, but it seemed like he's just sending them all, and that was it.
Maybe he's sending them because they're Morgan's people. And he'll thin the herd by sending them after her because he knows she'll kick their ass.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. There's like definitely some weird stuff going on there with like, what their intentions are versus Morgan Elsbeth, and like once Thrawn comes into the picture, how that's going to develop, which is going to be interesting because there's 8 episodes. I wish the show was like 15 episodes.
I know.
I just wish we could get more.
I don't feel like we've gotten a bottle episode or a filler episode yet. So
no. I don't think there's gonna there's so much to unpack. I feel like they're not. I hope like, because Mando season 3, that was one of the things. Like they did this cameo episode that like they didn't need to do, which I know a lot of people hated it. Like I thought it was a fun episode, but like when you only have the last 2 episodes of that season to only be able to do a couple of things, a couple of the biggest plot moments in the season. Like that kind of sucks. So I hope like they really just it seems like every episode they're doing for the show has been some type of promising development, right? Rather than
I think the only maybe bottle episode we'll get is maybe the flashback episode with Anakin perhaps and a younger Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Because I think we do know that is coming.
Yep.
I mean, I'd still love to see that because it's still about our main characters and
I think that'd be because a lot of people would love to see that and are holding on to seeing that. So if that's like
it's gonna happen, and I think the big. So I know I forget who's doing the next episode, but Filoni's doing episode 5, and I think 5 is when we probably get the flashback and we probably get the Thrawn reveal. That'll be my thought when Filoni's directing, when Filoni's directing the episode. I think those big moments are going to be, I think episode 5 is probably going to be the big episode. And I also saw, I don't know, like how true this is, but usually they're pretty accurate when as far as like leaks go. But like the next episode, I think is 42 minutes, and the one after that is 49 minutes. So we're going to be getting into like some longer episodes. Episode 5, 49 minutes. Like that's a pretty lengthy episode. So like I could see episode 5 probably hitting pretty hard as far as, you know, content in that one.
I'm not saying that they're dragging it out or anything, but I do hope that it continues to pick up, because like you guys said, there's only 8 episodes, so you can't. I think that was one of the problems with Mando season 3 was no direction, not enough happening, not enough episodes. So I just hope that we continue to get fed each episode and that the story progresses, because you have a lot of villains too at this point. You know, something's going to have to give with the room full of villains, you know, and who's going to be the big boss man that we take on at the end. So I'm excited to see, but I just hope that they don't go the route that they have in the past.
Yeah. Because there's a lot.
I said to my wife,
go ahead, Mike.
In the middle of like, I think it was maybe episode 5 of season 3 of Mando, I turned to my wife and I go, what is this show about? Like, if somebody asked you what this show was about, you could not say it in 2 sentences. And, you know, that's a problem, right? When you have 8 episodes.
Yeah, it'd be hard to do.
So my hope is that the next episode pushes the story along and isn't like a protracted fight in the woods to get to whatever we want to happen on this planet. You know what I mean? I want some story. I want a lot of story next episode.
Yeah, because I could see next episode being the filler.
Yeah,
you know, and then we have 5, 6, 7, 8 left. So now we got to start picking it up.
I think next episode we're probably going to see this lightsaber battle between like this dual lightsaber battle with Ahsoka and Merrick, and then or Merrick and then
Balin.
Is it? I thought Ahsoka fights Merrick again in the woods, in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
And then that's when Sabine and Shin face off for round 2. So I felt like that episode, or this episode 3, sets up for episode 4 of that happening, because they're going to confront each other in the woods.
Unless they're on this planet for 3 more episodes.
Maybe.
Yeah, like
maybe. You never know. But yeah, so I feel like it's setting up for that. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But also, that's thinking about it, that's gonna that is interesting, because we only saw the one training scene between Ahsoka and Sabine, and now Sabine is gonna face off again with Shin, who just owned her. Like what's gonna happen there again?
Yeah,
like because Shin got destroyed.
The rematch.
Yeah, like the rematch is happening, but the rematch is happening after there's been what we have seen as one training session, basically.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So like, what's gonna happen with the rematch? Yeah, with not even a real. Yeah, this is not like lightsaber training. But then again, we know that Sabine can fight. You know.
Yes.
So I think that's part of it too. Is like Shin probably beat her pretty bad because Sabine has been so closed off to everything since everything happened. So hopefully Sabine wakes up a little bit and like remembers that she can actually fight, and she's a badass.
Yeah, she's just rusty. She's not. Yeah, she's not learning this stuff for the first time. She's just been out of her element for a little while.
Yeah. I just want to get to a couple comments here. TK Magic Shop, thank you for tuning in. As a lifelong fan and Stormtrooper for Disney from 2018 to 2020, my thoughts on this Ahsoka as a series is move along. Yeah, I think like. Yeah. I don't. I respect the opinions of people who are not a fan of this show. I think that that's totally fine. And like I said, like we're going into. I feel like last week's episode and this week, like, and Graham, you can kind of attest this because you're like, I'm soaking it all in. Some people probably just don't care to go to that level. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some people probably just like, I just want to watch it and enjoy it for what it is, which is also totally fine.
It's very fair.
Yeah, I just like being a nerd about Star Wars and learning more and more about it. And like Mike, like you said, like it's important. I feel like it's important to all of us, you know, especially when you look at like our collections, and now Graham is becoming just this primary Star Wars collector. It's just going great.
Wow.
So like,
it's always been the most. But yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm of 2 minds about it though, right? Because like for me, let Star Wars keep getting more and more complex, and like let I want to continue to be rewarded for having consumed all this content, you know?
Yeah.
But if it continues down that path, it will eventually sputter out. Like you can't survive forever doing that. So that's the yin and yang of it. That's my fear of it. The more niche and specific it gets, the less it can grow its audience.
Yep.
And
I
that
think that
ultimately means it goes away.
Yeah. I think their saving grace when it comes to that is going to be when they do Dawn of the Jedi, like the very first culmination of everything that had that, like the Dawn of the Jedi before the Old Republic, like the start of everything. That will be I think a good, something fresh and new. That's not really going to, like, they're going to have to create something new of what, I mean, I'm sure they'll pull from other materials and stuff like that, like they've done, but like that's going to be something they're not going to be relying on all this older content, because that's the start of the timeline basically. So that'll be interesting.
I just hope that film gets made, dude.
I hope it does too.
Because Indy was a bomb, and you know what they do. You know how they punish directors with bomb movies. They cancel the next project.
And we have the writer's strike right now. Like, we don't know when anything else is going to be happening. That's another thing. Like, when is more? We know, like, they announced these 3 Star Wars movies, but it's like the Dave Filoni ones. I think the Filoni one will happen because we need to get a climaxing endpoint to all of these series. You know.
But it requires that you've watched all these series.
It does.
And people aren't watching them, and so like, how are you going to get normies out to see a movie that they needed to spend the last 5 years of their life watching TV?
Gotta do something new. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, you have so many avenues into Star Wars at this point that, like, there's so much for you to watch if you want to get into it.
Yeah, if you give a shit about it, there's
if you care,
anywhere.
like, I don't really think they need to just. The other part of it is, I don't really think they need to just make something for people who are like don't really know anything about Star Wars either. Like, everything they're making needs to be made with Star Wars fans in mind as well, because, like you said, people have consumed Star Wars since the 70s. But also that's caused its own kind of slew of problems, because I think people who have saw, the originals, there's a huge generational gap as far as like that goes, old versus new, which has caused its own, caused its own slew of issues, and like, so there's a lot of, there's a lot.
Do you guys ever think that they'll do? I mean, we're all about like what remakes these days and whatnot. Do you think they'll ever do like, condense Clone Wars down into like a trilogy and do live action?
That would be really interesting.
It would be, yeah.
I
thought you were going to say remake the original trilogy.
I don't know if they did like if they did a Clone Wars live action trilogy, like took all the main bits. I think
people are ready to move on from that era.
Yeah, I don't see them doing it because the amount of money that they would need to spend to do something that's already known, it would just probably not be in Disney's best interest.
The main reason they wouldn't do it too, though, is like that's a George thing, and Disney, Lucasfilm has been made it very clear.
They're separating themselves from that.
Yeah.
Sad.
That might not be smart.
Sad, but you have Filoni, who's basically the one attached string to George, true. And I think Disney's also realizing, hopefully they're realizing that they need to take that into account more. And like Filoni, I could see also Filoni, if he wants it, being, potentially like head of Lucasfilm at some point, or doing something where he's like the lead guy when it comes to at least Star Wars.
Like a Star Wars flaggy.
Yeah. Just make him the main. It seems like that's probably already a lot of how it is, but there's still, it shouldn't become a thing where it's, okay, well, let's bring in all these directors so they can leave their mark on the Star Wars universe with how they direct. That's not because they have been kind of doing that for all these episodes. Like, let's bring in this director. Let's bring in this director. Let's bring in this director. And it's been like, I appreciate seeing different directors, do their style of stuff. But at the same time, like, I forget who the director is that did the Boba Fett episode, like the reintroduction of Boba Fett when he like went off in Mando. Like when he's like, we're in the battle damage, or like the Sarlacc outfit. I forget who it is, but then he wrote a lot of the Book of Boba Fett episodes that people didn't like.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't always work out as far as,
Bryce Dallas Howard was kind of a little bit over the board too. Like, I think kind of hit or miss. Like, she started strong, but then
there's a couple episodes of people didn't.
Same with Deborah Chow. Like, she had a couple good episodes, and they're like, let's give her Obi-Wan. I'm like, okay, listen, I'm sure she's a very nice woman. She's talented. This is an extremely important show. Like, Deborah Chow, not crapping on her, but they should have gotten somebody with a deeper repertoire of experience.
I wish I was
'cause
on
think
YouTube, but for Kenobi in review, so I could review that show.
But you want to start?
Do it as a series.
Do it as
You
a
should.
series, all the shows.
You should.
I enjoyed Kenobi, but yeah, I know Mike, you didn't really enjoy it, and I know a lot of people didn't. So yeah, I just don't want the. I hope Disney doesn't just go that route, like I said, of just like, well, this director is really good at everything they do. Let's just bring him in and put in so they can just do a Star Wars episode. Like, I'm sure every director in the world wants to do a Star Wars episode, but the
Not
writing
so
and
much
stuff,
anymore.
and probably, maybe maybe that's true. If they're like,
Yeah, that has
just
changed.
stay away
over
from
the
that right now.
years.
Which honestly,
Exactly.
to me, is not necessarily a bad thing. Like the people who do it should want to do it too.
Right.
Like that's
It's
gonna
become a political thing, though.
Yeah.
So so people don't want to get attached to this and then get fired because it looks really bad for your career to have a problem with Kathleen Kennedy and the higher ups. And she's created a track record where she brings in talented people and embarrasses them by letting them go,
yeah.
which is unfortunate because, she's not able to get the more seasoned people. Upstarts, they'll take it, and I don't blame them. But
Reminds me of how D&D from Game of Thrones. Basically, it seemed like they rushed out of Game of Thrones season 8 to go and work on a Star Wars project that then got canceled.
dude, it's such a long list. I'm not even going to go down that road right now, but it's
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the story of Lucasfilm the last 10 years.
Yeah. I just want to get to this comment from TK Magic. All I want from Star Wars IP at this point is Battlefront PS2 remastered into Battlefront 3 for PS5. Give us this exact game with updated graphics. Dude, that would be awesome.
PSVR
Seriously.
2, that's what I wanted on PSVR 2.
Oh, yeah?
Ooh, there, now you're talking.
Well, because Battlefront has
VR mode?
for the original PSVR.
Oh, yeah, I
they
played
had,
it.
like,
Ooh,
just
I got real sick. I got real sick in that X-Wing. Oh, that
in the X-Wing, dude. I want a whole game with
messed
that
me
shit.
up. I remember I played that. I had a PSVR for a while, and I played that X-Wing, and I was like, "Oh, this is great! I'm in the cockpit." And then I took the headset off, and I was like, "I'm done." I just went laid
Yeah,
down.
in a bucket.
You
almost
get used
threw
to
up.
it. You get used to it.
I got a really sensitive vestibular system, so I get that stuff does not. Yeah, it says yes, VR, crazy idea. I would pay so much money for that. That would be that would be cool. All right, then we got the credits, guys. Do we want to break down the credits?
I'm good.
Hey, there's Purgle. There's Purgle on the credits. Hey, just so you know, there is a video online that somebody deciphers every single word in the credits.
Oh boy.
So all of these words you see are all broken down into the names of the planets, and it's similar to Game of Thrones where they travel around the map. It's actually really interesting.
That's cool.
And it shows
all
them
Arabic
like
words?
it basically like shows the breakdown, and it like basically like the pathway to Peridia. It's really cool. I can try and find it and send it to you guys, but so like even the credits were done with with intent.
Arabesh?
Look at these.
Yeah, I didn't even really watch them at all, so I didn't know.
The music reminded me of Game of Thrones too. But here, let me
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Game of Thrones.
I was mad about the actor.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, that too.
Like it reminds me of Game of Thrones. R.I.P.
Indeed.
R.I.P. Yeah. Dang, that took me, took us longer than I thought it was going to take as far as breaking down that episode. But I feel like there's a lot in there for a short episode. A lot in there. D-Lo makes a comment here. The man himself.
Of course he does.
Lord and Miller got fired from Solo and went on to make Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
There you go.
Sometimes the grass is greener. Good movie.
Colin Trevorrow.
Yep.
From episode 9. A lot. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, and that episode 9, like with the whatchamacallit, the script that was written and stuff, and I know there's like some concept art that leaked from that too. Interesting. Yep. But it's
he disagreed with the choice of Luke being, well, I won't get into it, but Luke basically being a bum, because he saw the original, which was like Luke was like powerful, had floating rocks, and then Rian Johnson was like, no, he's a loser, and then Trevorrow was like, wait, he can't be a loser there.
no,
in my movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Any
showed my
other
bias.
yeah. Any other closing thoughts on the episode, you guys?
No,
Just
no, I'm
just
excited to
keep
see
going
this next
steady.
one.
You know, I just hope
Yeah.
that it seems organized. While some people might not like still how it's going, it seems more organized than like Mando and whatnot. So it feels like they have a goal, and yeah, we're just kind of watching to see what happens next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we have things to look forward to. Like, it feels like there's a plot and a through line
Right.
Yeah.
happening.
Feels like there's stuff to look
We
forward
know it
to.
early on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Unlike Mando season 3, it was like, oh, you watch this episode and you're like, where are they going with some of this right now? Like, it's just
I had no
crazy.
clue what was going to happen the next episode.
Yeah.
Or like how we'll get like Mando's adventure for the first like 2 minutes, and then the end of the show for the last 2 minutes.
Oh,
and
I
like,
hated that episode.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I hope we don't get that
Graham.
coming up.
I hated it. I hated it. I was waiting for them to cut back, and they
yeah.
never did.
Never did.
I'm like this, and it really didn't have that much weight on the season. That episode.
Right. So I was thinking like, oh, this is going to be a huge payoff probably, and it fizzled out. It didn't really go anywhere.
Just stupid.
Yeah, hopefully Ahsoka doesn't turn into that.
I'm going to bed angry.
I don't think
Damn
it will.
it.
You're not gonna be
I
able
don't
to
think it
sleep.
will. No. I don't. Filoni won't do that. I'm telling you. I mean, there are there's like filler episodes in Clone Wars, but you got 22 episode seasons. You know, it's different.
Yep. On 1 second here. There's a comment I wanted to get to. Crazy I got to hang out with you guys on the live while at work. That's always fun. My fellow Hot Toys collectors would love to collaborate with you guys. Yeah, hit me up on my Instagram link is down low if you want to send me a message. I still have multiple suits if you ever need a TK. Yes, please. I do want to get like some type of 501st or like some type of it would be so cool to like, you know, do some type of 501st Garrison stuff and like go to a children's hospital or something. You know, I've thought about doing that in the past. You know, like I know there's a local chapter, I think. Graham, I know there's a Wisconsin one.
Interesting.
But it'd be so cool to like just like get in like a stormtrooper outfit or something and like go to a children's hospital or like just do something cool like that. Or like some type of charity event. Like, yeah, I would love to do that, but it just is not cheap.
No,
you either got to make your own,
really
and I definitely ain't gonna do that because I don't got the time to do all that.
And you
so
want
I
it
would
to
buy
look
one.
Authentic, so
yeah, and you got to get it 501st approved. And I don't know.
You know, I looked at the calendar in my local chapter, and they're very inactive. But
yeah,
you know,
I would just
still
go,
want to hit them up.
I could just go by myself. Just wear a stormtrooper outfit, just going right up.
They walk your ass out.
Right up into there. They come out like this. Yeah, they walk me out. Get out of here. What's wrong with you? Or hit up Celebration. Yes, it would be Star Wars Celebration is one of the coolest places to see. I'm sure New York City Comic Con, Mike is probably similar in that a lot of people cosplay and stuff. Kits are about $600. That's not bad.
Cheaper than a do-bag.
No, that's not bad.
Cheaper
than a do-bag.
The hard part is the kit is that, but don't you have to like? Pretty sure then you have to like cut it and like you have to do all this stuff. Unless that is that an unpainted kit or a painted kit? Is it fit to like? Is that cut to fit or like how does that work? Because I know some of it is just like you have to cut it out and then you have to fit it and you have to sand some of it and like it's a lot of work. I don't got tools for that either. I don't got anything like that.
I got this. That's all. You know, I got too many helmets.
Mike's just gonna put on his his
show up
clone
in some
helmet
sweats.
and just wear that. Yep.
Like my Halloween costume last year. Put the Mando helmet on, carried Grogu, and just wore a sweatshirt and jeans.
Beautiful.
Yep. There you go.
That's awesome.
Okay, guys. With that being said, any closing thoughts? Any channel plugs? Graham, you got anything coming up on the channel?
Yeah, just obviously each Wednesday. If you guys are not familiar with my channel, we do Wolfpack Wednesdays, which is, I don't know, my opinion, one of the best live streams out there. So come check it out.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of fun. Just came out with a couple reviews. Sand Trooper was today, and then I did a project on just repairing pleather accessories. I've done it way in the past with Catwoman, and this one I did a pauldron on the Death Trooper. So I think it turned out pretty good. I'll do some minor tweaks with it, but that's coming out. I've recorded Cad Bane review, Princess Leia review. Just got to put them together, and then those will be coming out soon. But yeah, Wolfpack Wednesdays with Dilo the Collector. Brick Artemis, and last week we had Evil Sneaker on. So come on by and
That's me.
Have some fun.
Yeah, I love Wolfpack Wednesday.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes,
I tune in every Wednesday for that one.
Yep.
Appreciate it, guys.
it's the
And you
best.
channel members, so props to you
Yeah.
guys.
Oh yeah.
Channel members. Yeah.
Clap for myself and Mike. Yes. Oh, he's working with patience. He said,
Love you
"Unpainted-"
guys.
Yeah, love you too, bro. Unpainted $600 after all about $1,500. That's what I thought. I've seen
Now
like
you're
around the
looking at
$1,500
a
range.
vehicle.
Just put it in Hot Toys dollars, man. Yeah,
But if you think about it, like you're not just doing this just to walk around your
That's
house.
true.
You're actually going to like put smiles on kids' faces and do
priceless
charity work.
things.
So yeah, like I could justify it.
And then
Yeah.
like when you're not using it for that reason, could you put it on like a mannequin, have like a 1-to-1 in your
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
collectible room or
That's
something?
exactly what I
So-
would do. That's exactly.
You could
what I
live
would do.
stream in it too.
Yep.
Just saying, you could.
Halloween's
live stream.
coming up.
It'd be great.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would love to just stand out my driveway and give out candy in like a trooper outfit or like a Mandalorian outfit. I think that'd be
Yeah,
so
I was
cool.
a Jedi last year, and it was great. I went to a fair, and everybody kept
Nice.
calling me Obi-Wan, and I was like, "Yo, I wish I had that head of hair or that beard. Like, I look nothing like Obi-Wan, but little kids, Obi-Wan, I went with it.
Yep.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, man. So
Yeah, nice. For my channel, Collector Tour, which I think, did I skip this past week? I can't keep track of my days now. I didn't have an
Yes,
episode this past week.
We drafted, yeah.
Yeah, because we did the draft. Yes, the Hot Toys
Yes.
fantasy football draft.
killed
Collector
it.
Tour is happening on Monday, Labor Day. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Central Time. 4 p.m. And I'm going to be having Riley from Riley Reviews on for an episode. So I'm excited to have him on. I've chatted with him a little bit here and there in the past. I've been trying to get him on for a couple weeks, but there's been some circumstances that haven't allowed that. But I'm really excited to get him on for Monday. So look forward to that. I'm still plugging away at my cases right now. I'm still got like a few. I'm gonna have a few more things still to open. Those bark speeders like took me longer than I thought they were going to because they got a bunch of accessories and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm almost done. I'm getting there. Yeah, that's what I got going on. And then hopefully once I get my cases all set up, figures all set up, I'm going to start, pumping out some more content with now that I have figures out and I can actually show them. I need to get one of those little spinny tables, that all the true, the true YouTubers
That's
have
when
out
you know
there.
you made it.
A little revolving, a little revolving turntable. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much both for being here. Chat.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate, of course. I had a fun time. Always fun talking about Star Wars and, could talk about it all day, every day.
definitely.
Everyone in the chat, thank you guys all so much for tuning in as well.
Thanks, chat.
Thanks, chat. With that being said, everybody, have a great Labor Day weekend. I hope you're all off work on Monday, and we will see you next time. Peace.